This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, so Andre the Giant. There was a great clip of, and certainly some incredible pictures of Pat on Andre's shoulders that you guys showed in the tribute video for WWE. They had a great relationship, both, you know, Frenchmen, if you will. They both spoke French and both traveled the towns. And a lot of times you would even have Pat driving the big van and Andre in the back, right?
Fuck yeah. And they were French Canadians, so they were able to speak French to one another and truly loved one another. So that it was a special relationship with Pat and the boss. You know, one time in the old days when they used to do TV in Allentown and Hamburg, Pennsylvania, there was this one hotel that they would all stay at. And Andre actually got to the point where Andre just drank too much. And Andre started to go back to his room and decided that I'm sleepy, giant sleepy. And Andre just laid down in the middle of the lobby where the elevators were. Passed out. It's 3:00 in the morning. I'm tired. I sleep here. So fucking Andre lays down, like literally in the middle of the goddamn hotel. They try to wake him up. And Pat says, fuck this. Pat goes in the restaurant, gets a couple of big tablecloths, and just lays the tablecloths over Andre. And they go, what the fuck are you going to do? I said, what the fuck am I going to do? What the fuck are you going to do? You tried to wake him. And Pat went to bed. And they said about 9:30 in the morning, Andre started to wake up, and came to life, much to the chagrin of people in the hotel. But yeah, people had to walk around a giant draped in tablecloths. Just another night in the bar.
It's interesting that another thing that Andre and Pat have in common is more than just speaking French and being in the wrestling business. They're both building blocks for Vince McMahon when he tries to take over and go national. Of course, Andre is going to be one of the great attractions, going even back to Vince's father. But Pat Patterson is going to be sort of the brains behind the operation. I don't think that maybe gets covered enough, that it's two French guys.
Well, I don't think that really matters as much. I mean, Pat was French Canadian and Andre was real French. France French. There's a difference. There is definitely a difference, but by God, it was two of the biggest attractions in the business that we can thank the French people for, in Andre and Pierre Clermont, Pat Patterson, the Lord Patrick Patterson for a while. I'll tell you, all you farmers out there. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you see the tribute that WWE did for Pat Patterson?
I did. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful. So in My Way was used.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was Sinatra singing.
Sure.
As well as Pat singing.
Okay.
I don't think people actually knew that Pat was a singer and that Pat loved to sing.
Oh, of course they know that.
But I don't know that everybody knew that.
Okay.
We know that because Pat would come to our shows you remember early on, you wanted Pat. Remember I told you, I said, hey, I talked to Patterson. He's coming to the show. And you're like, fuck you. No, he's not. Sure. That's back when nobody would talk to me at WWE.
Isn't that crazy that wasn't that long ago?
Yeah. Last week.
And maybe again next week.
Who knows? But yeah, Pat, we were going to be in the same place at the same time. And he called to say hello. And I was like, Patrick, I'm doing these shows. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck's a podcast? And talked Pat into us. Well, why don't you come down? And he goes, I want to go do karaoke. And it hit me. I said, well, Pat, come do karaoke at the show. And I figured it out at that moment how we could get Pat to as many shows as we did.
Just let him sing.
I would promise Pat that he could sing.
Yeah.
And we made him sit through 2 hours of our show before we would give him a microphone and let him sing, because he would have been there all night.
In fairness, though, it was, it was probably a bigger crowd than there was at the karaoke bar. And that's what Pat lived for, right? Entertaining the crowd.
Oh God. He absolutely loved it. And Pat would go on cruises, and it was the same story every time, because Pat liked to go in and shock people. Loved to do Louis Anderson, His Wonderful Life and all that, or Wonderful World, whatever the fuck it is. Okay. I'm over here having beverages. But Pat would go in and he would tell the story about the cruise. He goes, I would sit there and I would go, I want to go sing, but I don't know. I'm shy. I don't like to do it in front of people. And I would get the people around me and they go, no, Pat, you go up and you sing. You want to sing. It's okay. We're not going to judge you. And I say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. He goes, and then I milk it along for about an hour or so. And then I have a few pops and I buy them a few drinks. They buy me a few drinks. And they go, come on, Pat, please sing. And then I go up there and, oh boy, let me tell you something. Oh boy, I belt out. Then I go into Louis Armstrong. They go, oh, they're crying, Bruce. I tell you, they're crying. And it would be the same. It would be the same fucking story every week. He'd come back from vacation, and he would work another group of people into thinking he was just this poor old man out taking a cruise by himself. And he's shy, but we're going to bring it out of him. And they love me.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.